I would like to thank our friends from the from Qatar who's helped to organize this webinar today. So all the thanks to the people who were on our call last week and who's organized this call. I know today is Friday, it's the weekend in the Middle East, but I totally appreciate your your time and your dedication to be on this webinar. My name is Muhannad, and I'm the sales manager for the Middle East and Africa on behalf of Palisade. And on this call, I have my colleague Manuel Carmona, who's one of the senior consultants who have been with Palisade more than 15 years, and he's been helping lots of clients all around, Europe, Middle East, Africa, in different domains and different types of industries. So we hope that today we will be able to, to tackle the main things that were mentioned on the title of the webinar, which is, applying the Monte Carlo simulation and mainly focusing on cost estimation and showing you some, some examples and some introductions to that kind of like function. So again, I would like to thank you all. I will leave the floor to Manuel, and I'm more than happy to follow up with you later, guys. If you have questions or any inquiries or requests, we are more than happy to liaise with all of you and to discuss your specific, requirements and needs after this webinar. So thank you very much for all the attendees, and thanks for the organizers as well.
Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Hello,
everyone. Yes, just a few notes before Manuel takes over. Let me inform everybody that this is being recorded. This webinar is being recorded, and within 24 hours after the webinar, you will get your copies of the recording. So if you have questions, I will advise that you take note of those questions, or rather you can send to us using the chat section to send your questions, so that as soon as the presenter ends his presentation, we can take questions from there. And of course, you can also indicate so that you will be allowed to talk directly. Thank you very much. Manuel can take over now.
Manuel, you are muted. Sorry, Manuel. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes. Hi.
Well, thank you very much for your time, for being here for this presentation. I currently have a technical problem with my computer. I don't know what's happened, but perhaps Mohammed, if you want to continue giving 5 minutes of background on Palisade while I fix the problem.
Sure.
Because my applications have disappeared. I don't know, it might be because of Google
yes,
meetings or something like that. So.
But we can see you, Manuel, and we can hear you perfectly
well. But unfortunately, I cannot access my PowerPoint.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take over.
Give me 5 minutes, and then
sure.
I'll try and fix it.
Sure. Well, again, then thank you very much for all the attendees. For the people who haven't been on our call last week, and Palisade is a company that has been dedicating its business for more than 40 years in the domain of risk analysis and risk management. We have started, by a group of people who were obsessed with statistics and mathematicians, and people who were keen onto finding a software or a tool that can run on Excel sheets to do, the requested analysis. And for more than 30 years, we have been one of the market leaders in this domain. We provide a number of software tools. The most famous one is a software called At Risk. And at risk is being used by banks, insurance companies, oil and gas industries, healthcare. So we've been helping lots of companies around the world, and I'm happy to tell you that 93 companies out of the Fortune 100 companies in the world are actually clients of Palisade and constant users of at risk. So at risk is something that we would like to display and show to you today. It's a very basic and simple software. It sits on your Excel. It goes hand in hand with the Excel sheets. It extracts all your data, all your figures from Excel, organizes it in a way that can be easily to analyze, and then we run what we call it the Monte Carlo simulation, which is actually the powerhouse or the key engine of this software. And the whole idea is to start generating scenarios. So we're moving from what we call it the deterministic approach, which is the one figure. I have a project, I will finish this project in 3 years, and the project will cost me $100 million. This is something that our software is taking you to another level of creating probabilities rather than being deterministic, because most of the time in the deterministic approach, this is not realistic. We all know that when you say a project will end in 3 years, most of the time it doesn't actually end in 3 years. And when you start with a $100 million budget, most of the time your budget will be higher or doesn't really match what you have estimated. So what we do is basically come into your project or your data and try to extract from this data scenarios, probabilities. Try to find what could happen, what could go well, what could go bad, and then this will be all displayed on a very simple basic reports and diagrams that shows you the percentages of there is this element might take 60% to reach this target within this amount of time. All of this will be coming to you in a very convenient and straightforward kind of reports and displays on screens and things like that. In Qatar, we have been very lucky to work with the likes of QP. We work with Qatar Petroleum, we work with Qatar Gas, and we do also work with a few other kind of construction and consulting companies in Doha as well. And in the normal days, we used to run, this is BC, before Corona, this is what we call now the normal days, So we used to do lots of visits to the clients. We used to do lots of workshops. We used to come to hotels and invite people from different kind of industries to come and see and talk to our consultants. And this was always a very useful kind of approach to do business with people. Again, what we will see today is not a training session. It's not something that more into details. The software itself has got lots of features and functions that will be tailored to meet whatever people are interested in. So if you are in the health and safety domain, or you are in the in the quantity surveying, for instance, or in the cost estimation, there will be some functions and features that is more designed to meet your own kind of purposes and objectives. I think we're having some presentations coming up. Emmanuel, are we okay to go?
Yes. I'm okay now. Sorry, I had a bit of an issue with PowerPoint here.
That's fine. Well, anyway, guys, I wish you'll enjoy this seminar today, and I'm sure Manuel will take you and highlight the things that are relevant. But just bear in mind, normally in seminars like this or on these introductions, our aim is to generate more questions than answering them. So you will see lots of interesting things. You might come across lots of useful things, but we welcome your questions. We welcome your interaction, and hopefully we will be able to work with you beyond this seminar. So thanks for your time and thanks for your attention. Over to you, Manuel.
Thank you very much for everyone for this very slight glitch on the presentation. I hope that you can hear me well. So my name is Manuel Carmona, and I've been a trainer and consultant with Palisade Corporation since 2003. I've always been interested in the subject of cost estimation and a probabilistic risk analysis with Microsoft Excel. And the objective for the session today would be to provide an understanding about Monte Carlo simulation in the context of best practices in project management, cost estimation, budgeting, cost, risk management, claims management, and including techniques to build cost estimation, risk registers, and also net present value models to calculate investment opportunities, to calculate the return on investment opportunities, where most of the times inputs might be very difficult to assess. That's the objective of Monte Carlo simulation in this context. Sorry. The next objective would be to show you how to develop Excel-based models for economic project appraisal, building or upgrading infrastructure. The presentation that I have is focused on the oil and gas and construction industries. Okay, and I will give you this brief presentation, and then I will show you a model, an Excel model. The third objective for the session will be to show you how to identify and characterize uncertain factors. It means the value of variables which are uncertain by using probability distributions and using parametric techniques. Monte Carlo simulation is a statistical process that is based on a number of methods to determine uncertainty. One of them is parametric techniques, so we will estimate parameters for this uncertainty. The second would be industry standards. We'll talk about that as well. And the third would be speaking to experts in certain areas to obtain the assessment of the uncertainty surrounding a variable. Palisade offers services of training and consulting, public seminars and training workshops. I mean, it's a company that invests a lot in let's say, customer development or supporting the customers. We organize seminars in person, web-based, run on-site training and consulting, model building and validation, etc. So what you're going to see today is just the start, as Mohamed indicated at the beginning. But when you start developing probabilistic models using Monte Carlo simulation,
Manuel,
please bear in mind that you have available many resources.
Sorry, Manuel, I thought somebody else took the presentation. We were seeing a different screen. Are you still the presenter? Yes, you still have the.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
I'm showing at the moment service offered. Is that okay? That's the slide that I'm showing.
I think we've lost that slide. I think you need to put it back again on the screen. Guys, can you see it as on the main screen, the slide?
No, we can't see it. He needs to present again. And for the rest of the people attending, please do not click on present now. It's not meant for you. It's meant for the only the person presenting.
Yes, I think we've changed the screen. But Manuel, please try to take back over the presentation and put it on your screen.
Okay. Well, it seems. I think there is a problem with my PowerPoint that for some reason, because it's just completely frozen. Let me see if I can fix it in one. Okay. So if I go back, no.
You probably need to give it some time to download, Manuel, because it was going on very well a minute ago.
Yes.
But someone took over from a different attendee on this call, took over the screen, so it's got to come. It's maybe by mistake, because I think we all can do now. There is a button says present now, and if you press on it, you become the presenter. So try to get this back to you, please.
Okay.
Check towards the bottom right. You see present now.
Yes, I know, but the thing is that I've been having a problem with this application all morning. It went well for the start. Let me just access again.
If you need to restart your PowerPoint, if you need to.
Okay. So present now. Window. No, I think there is a problem here. Your entire screen. And then I need to launch PowerPoint again. Can you see it now?
Just give me a minute. It's not there yet. But I think it is slow to download on this platform. So just give it a few seconds. Hopefully it will come up. Because we started and it was going well. But you opened your present PowerPoint now. It's working for you, Manuel, isn't it?
Yeah. My entire computer. May I ask you? I need to reboot everything, and then I will be back in 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
For our organizers, do you mind if we just maybe he will take off, Manuel will take off for 5 minutes and then rejoin the meeting? Is that okay? We can carry on. I mean, I'm happy to carry on with you while he's fixing his computer. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, as Manuel has just started, what we normally do is much better to put this on a screen and show you, what the software looks like and what are the features on this software. But just to take over from where we have started, as I said, this software has been used in various industries, and when you look at it, it's just another button of functions that you can add to your Excel sheets. So I gather that most of you either work on Excel or you work with other types of software like SAP or Primavera or whatever other tools you are using, but at the end of the day, all the data will be concentrated and stored on Excel. And this is where our software is becoming a very useful and a very powerful tool, because everybody who understands and uses Excel can easily understand and uses at risk. And also the applications are very, very wide, and you can, move from one project to another, from one function, from one objective to another. And the most important thing is that we are aiming for is enabling any user to create defensible decisions. So when you come to your manager asking for a budget, when you come to your, the owner of your project as a contractor and ask for something relevant to your project, if it's allocating, resources or time frames and things like that, you come up with a full plan. And this full plan will show them what are the probabilities. So if you come to them and say, okay, I have a project from you, but let me be honest, there is 80% probability that I will finish this project in 3 years. However, there is 20% or 25% probabilities that I will be over by 6 months or 5 months based on this study. And then you justify why do you think these 4 or 5 or 6 months are needed. From experience in big projects, this is a vital thing, because that buys you lots of credit with your project owners and with your clients, because everybody of us hates, you know, dealing with a contractor that, you know, promise a lot and short on the delivery, you know, and falls short on the delivery. So it's just, as I said, you know, this tool is giving everyone who's using the tool the insight. Now, for us as users, and I'm one of the people who are also working in an office environment, and I have got, you know, lots of responsibilities in my job. I think it's written in all our job descriptions, these two things. Our job is to minimize any risk to the business where we are working for, and to maximize the opportunities. Right. So when you join a company, when you are on a project, when you work in any field, you know, the first thing you need to always be aware of is how do I minimize the risk? And the most important thing before you minimize the risk is to find the risk and measure it. You know, and these are some of the tools that can help you to analyze what are the risk elements, how can we measure them, and then how can we mitigate them. And this is a key part of anyone's job and anyone's, you know, duty, regardless of where you are in the organization. The other thing is, when you have a good look at your risk factors and you analyze them properly, you create opportunities out of them. Right. So you might find that, okay, I think we are losing money or we're having delays because we don't have the right training plans for our employees. Maybe because we are relying on 1 or 2 suppliers, and these 2 suppliers are not good enough for us. You know, there are so many elements that comes into any project that when you use the right tool and start have, like, you know, these kind of like insights, it gives you the maximum power over controlling your own destiny. And the most important thing is try to be as honest and as realistic as possible to your clients and to your employees and to your colleagues and also to the decision makers in your organization. Think, Manuel, are you back?
Yes, I'll try to see if I can fix it now. I'm awfully sorry, but my computer is going through one of these automatic upgrades from Windows.
Okay.
And it's something that just came out of the blue, and it has completely thrown out all the presentation. So
that's okay.
I'm really stuck.
I'm sure we'll get it back. In these
yes.
Technical glitches are happening now all over the world, you know, and it's we're prisoners to whatever our laptops can deliver these days. Unfortunately, this is the new world for everyone. Look, guys, the other thing I would like to mention to you that is our website is a bank of knowledge and a bank of data. Whenever you have the time, I urge all of you to go and visit, you know, palisade.com. On this, you will find lots and lots of case studies, and you will find lots of very relevant models that you can also benefit from. Everything is divided by sectors. So when you go to our website and you search over there, you know, you will find that we have under support, we have, you know, we have the knowledge base, which is a very, very rich source of knowledge onto, you know, risk analysis, building models, you know, communicating reports, you know, all of these. And also they are divided by sectors, so you can, you know, search based on that. We also have ongoing training sessions and events and webinars, which is I urge all of you, if you are into that domain of, you know, cost estimation, risk analysis, you know, project management in general, you know, I invite all of you just to keep up to date with these very useful webinars and presentations that are offered for most of the time for free by Palisade. And we also, you know, offer other lines of business. So training is one of the key elements of our business, you know. So when we give you the tools, when we give you the software, we try always to combine it with proper training. Good news. I think I can't see a presentation.
Yes, I'll try to see if I can make it work today. I do apologize and unreservedly, but trust me, my computer is playing games at the moment. I think I will be able to carry on with the presentation like this.
I can see it. It's fine. I think we can keep going. Yes,
clear, clear, please.
Go ahead.
Can you see? Can you see the screens properly?
I can see it.
Okay. So essentially, I was saying that I did this introduction just to link in with the previous discussion that we were having. The software that Palisade offers.
Sorry, Manuel.
Mohammed has given you an introduction about that.
Manuel.
Yes. So basically, to put
somebody's advising you to press Shift 5. Somebody advises that you press Shift 5, Shift plus 5, or Shift plus F5. Yes. Maybe Shift plus F5. F5.
Shift.
F5.
No, it doesn't do anything. Sorry. If you don't mind, I will try to run it like this.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Manuel. Go ahead. At least we can see something now, so that's not too bad.
Okay. Let me see. Better?
It's great. Go ahead.
Better now.
Fine, it's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Much
so
better.
at risk is an add-on to Excel. It's a set of functions that plug into your Excel and that provide functions which are specifically designed for Monte Carlo simulation. And I will give you more details about what the software is about in terms of you know, when it was launched, how it works, and so on. But what you have to bear in mind is that if you work with Excel already, working with at risk is extremely easy, because the only thing you need to do is to use the additional set of functions that are provided by at risk. Okay, so it's, in a nutshell, it's a very simple concept. You can see here in my screen now that there are some functions in your Excel, such as the statistical functions, engineering, financial, and so on, that comes with the add-on pack that you need to install when you run Microsoft Excel. And on the right-hand side, you have the specific functions that are provided by at risk. So at risk provides functions to define distributions of probability in Excel in order to build Monte Carlo models. And this is essentially what at risk is. So if you are thinking about building Monte Carlo models using Palisades at risk, the only thing you need to learn to know is how to build these distributions of probability into your Excel models, right? For cost estimation, for example, and then run the simulation and obtain the results. So it's a very simple process. Now let's discuss a little bit about the problem that exists with cost estimation specifically, and with deterministic models. Deterministic models are single value models. So when we do a cost estimation like this one that you are seeing on the screen, the cost estimation is made of different cost elements. And what we assess is just single value or number for the most likely cost, we call it, or the average cost. Okay, so the total cost of the project would be the addition of all these most likely values corresponding to every single cost element. Okay. The problem is that when we make cost estimations like this, which we call the deterministic approach, this number is fraught with danger because the single value for the cost is subject to some variation. We know that, going back to the cost, to the list of costs, for example, if we take this first cost, rig moving, the most likely value is 500,000, but we know that there is going to be a departure from this average or most likely cost, right? So that's the problem, that when we have many cost elements in a cost estimation, that variation propagates across the model and impacts the total. On some occasions, it can impact the total quite dramatically. So this deterministic approach is fraught with danger. More often than not, you say to your stakeholders, inform your stakeholders that a certain project will be delivered on a certain date at a certain cost, right? So you create expectations with your stakeholders, and this causes a lot of disappointment when the dates are not met or when the costs are overrun. Okay, so people, I mean, have a tendency to believe what's in the plan, in the cost estimation, but the problem is, because of these variations of the individual cost elements, that creates a significant departure of the total cost, which can create problems for some companies, some organizations, right? So the deterministic approach leads to complacency, okay? And this is dangerous. That's the problem that we want to address. Now, to counteract this point, cost estimators typically have been coming up with solutions like 3-point estimates. They consider like a best case scenario for cost, the most likely case, and the worst case scenario. Or they consider sometimes scoring methods, right? Scaling up certain costs that they believe will be more sensitive to the total. Or they can assess the cost estimation with a what-if approach. So they make increments to the cost from the most likely or average value in order to see what's the impact on the total. But this is very time-consuming, especially if you are talking about a cost estimation with many cost elements, right? Now, the probabilistic approach, the benefit of a probabilistic approach using Monte Carlo simulation is that you no longer rely on a single value for a cost estimation. You rely on a distribution of probability. So in this case, for example, as you can see in the screen, on the left-hand side, we have two graphs here. We have a histogram and a tornado chart. I will explain what it is. The histogram, firstly, is a distribution of the total cost based on the variation of the individual cost elements. Like, for example, here we know that there is a 5% probability that the cost will exceed, in this case, 13.866 billion, right, for a certain project. But the minimum value, in this case, would be 793,000. So there is quite a lot of range. So that's when we use percentiles to set expectations with our stakeholders and decision makers, because we need to provide a percentile, a confidence threshold that the project is going to be in total. I mean, the project or the cost estimation is going to hit a certain specific cost, right? So this variation in the presentation of the cost estimation figures allows decision makers and project stakeholders to set expectations and to see the entire range of possible outcomes on a cost estimation, right? The second benefit of using Monte Carlo simulation for cost assessment is that because we run this Monte Carlo process, which consists on running thousands of iterations of the different cost elements to calculate the distribution of the total cost, we can identify which of the input variables will have a higher impact on the output. And that's one of the reasons actually why the software is called at risk, because then you can, once you have identified these variables, you can mitigate the impact of those variables in the total. Okay, so for example, in the graph on the right-hand side of your screen at the moment, you can see that the variable, the cost element that has the highest impact on the total cost is this chemical release incident while bunking, right? Which is transferring fuel from one tank to another. So you can focus all your mitigation efforts on this particular cost element because you have identified it with Monte Carlo simulation that it's responsible for driving the total cost up. Okay. Now, where can I apply Monte Carlo simulation? I'm going to give you an extensive list. I mean, cost estimation is one of the areas where we can apply this technique. So one is project management, cash flow projections, net present value projections, internal rate of return, return of investment models, to calculate the risk of investment portfolios, technical risks, research and development investment, credit and environmental risk, operational risk registers, which are heavily used in the construction and oil and gas industries, to calculate process statistical controls subject to variability, for example, Six Sigma, project viabilities and appraisal. You know, it's very important to consider that this process of Monte Carlo simulation, the probabilistic project assessment, takes place at the planning stage. So that's before we make any investments. And this allows us to see and to assess the risk and act upon the risk before we make any of the capital layouts or investments. We can use it to estimate the viability of product launches, cost estimations, of course, and many more. And that comes across a very wide range of industries, such as oil and gas, mining, construction, quality control, project management, insurance, among many other applications, and so on. Okay. A very important thing for you to consider is that the probabilistic approach used in Monte Carlo simulation is an industry standard, right? It's not necessarily a technique based around one product. It's an industry standard, and what Palisade has done, as I have explained in the previous slides, is to make an implementation of this industry standard Monte Carlo simulation with Excel to make it easy for practitioners to build probabilistic models using a well-known platform such as spreadsheet. Okay. Now, this industry standard is being adopted by the most important and influential organizations such as AACE International, which is one of the organizations that groups practitioners of cost estimation experts around the world. So they rely on probabilistic cost estimation in order to make estimations of cost more solid and reliable and credible, right? And it comes as part of the training program on the total cost management and decision and risk management professional framework. So that's one example. The other example is the Project Management Institute, which has been recommending the Monte Carlo simulation approach for many years now. And it's part, again, in very similar terms as the AACE, of the use of Monte Carlo simulation training on the qualification methods and processes. And you can see here in this, if you can make like a screen capture, you can see in my URL the page from the ACI organization where we are listed. Palisade is listed as an education provider. Okay. Now, let me give you some facts about Palisade. The first version of the software was launched in 1984. So it's a product that has been around for 35 years. There are about 200,000 clients in 94 countries worldwide, and 93%, not less than 93% of Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies actually use Palisade software. You can download a 2-week fully functional software trial immediately. So you can go to the Palisade website and download a trial, and you can start building probabilistic models immediately. The software is an excellent entry-level introduction to probabilistic risk analysis. It's very easy to use. It's very straightforward to build models, but as users increase the modeling skills, the software can provide advanced features such as data fitting, correlation, correlate different input variables, time series optimization, and many others. Okay, so please bear in mind that the software is very easy to use in the beginning, especially if you are building cost estimations, but you can also build more sophisticated models. Using Monte Carlo simulation will enhance your understanding of the assessment and measurement of risk factors in your cost estimations. That's the main benefit, we could say, of using at risk. It's very easy to implement, and also enables, as I said, parametric data and expert estimation of risk, as I said on the beginning. Now, how can we support users like you who want to start building cost estimation models using probabilistic risk analysis? We have an extensive knowledge base at the Palisade website where you will find hundreds of articles, technical articles about using different features of the software. You can access tech support via email, chat, and phone. You can read the case studies. I'll show you a couple now, where companies have outlined how they have applied Monte Carlo simulation on a certain application or aspect of their business and what kind of benefit they have obtained. testimonials from customers, video tutorials to show features like, for example, how do we set distributions and so on, webinars, sample files, books. There are books, many books that have been published featuring Palisade software. We run customized training seminars, presential and online. Obviously, presential not now because of the COVID, but most of the trainings are run online. White papers, and also we provide. We have a department that provides model building and custom development services, right? So if you want to develop a model specifically, then we can help with that. Some books that we can recommend if you are, there are some models in these books that can be used for cost estimation, and a lot of information about setting up distributions for cost estimation. These are 3 of my favorite books, but there are many others that you can access. I mean, you can buy through Amazon or through your booksellers. These are the sample, a couple of examples of case study in the oil and gas and construction industries. Like, for example, Fluor, which is a well-known energy organization, bases global oil and gas estimates on at risk. And the case study explains the process step by step on how Fluor has achieved a benefit by using a probabilistic approach to the cost estimation. And then the CERT, which is an organization that was in charge of the building infrastructure at the New Zealand earthquake buildings, they have also provided a case study in cost estimation if you are interested. I have provided the URL to access these case studies and many others. Okay, there are hundreds of case studies. You can read the case studies, but if you are interested in a particular application, feel free to ask me, and I will be happy to provide a case study. Right, so just to wrap it up, effective risk management provides the decision maker with the confidence to take risks. That's the main advantage of using a probabilistic approach. Now, what I will try to do, because I'm still being affected by this, I hope that everyone has been able to see the presentation and the introduction. If I may leave it with you, perhaps you can ask questions to Mohammed. I will try to load the model and then show you how this works in practice. So Mohammed, would you mind taking over for a couple of minutes while I...
Sure.
Yeah?
Thank you. I think the presentation was clear. I mean, I could see your screen. I think, I don't know if anyone else can share feedback on that, but to me it was clear and I can see your screen perfectly well.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on, I mean, I think Manuel has just mentioned, you know, and again, I would like to urge you again to go on the website, have a look. And also one of the things Manuel has mentioned, that you have the chance to download a free trial from our website. And then you can, you know, have a look at the software at your own, you know, at your own free time, try to play with it, build some models and get it integrated with your own spreadsheets and see how can you use this tool to, first of all, save you time, make your workload more convenient and straight to the point. And the other thing is, when you make a decision, try to build some models, run the Monte Carlo simulation and look at it and try to connect this with reality and look at the perception, you know, of all these, graphs or reports, you know, the percentages you can see there, and try to make it try to connect it with your own work in the fact kind of like, you know, environment in the delivery of previous projects, maybe history data, or some of the things that you are currently discussing in your company as a new project, and try to connect this kind of like software to see if you can add value from using this to save yourself time, to make better decisions, and to keep yourself, you know, in a good term with your clients, and to keep on the safe side on the promises that you can offer to them. Do we have any questions so far? I mean, I know that our audience, we have more than 30 people, and I'm sure that they come from different industries and different interests. But at this moment, do I have any comments or any questions from anyone on the audience side?
Yes, there is one question in the chat section. Can you see, or should I read for you?
What is it? Sorry?
There's a question in the chat section.
Oh, yes. Okay. Could you provide some details on how to obtain a range of probabilistic outcomes for completing a project within certain costs or time? Say P10. Yeah. This is something that Manuel is planning to do now. You know, one of these things is better to show you with some like mocking data on a spreadsheet, and then we will explain to you exactly how does that work and how do you get the outcomes, you know, out of this, and divide it by percentages. So this will come soon, and I'm sure we can provide something like that. Hello.
Yes, Mohammed.
Yes.
Can you see the spreadsheet now?
No. It's still blank. No.
Sorry.
Anyway, any other questions? Any other comments or questions? I mean, do I have anyone on the call who has used the software before?
Probably none.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we have this is new kind of like tool or new things. Okay, anyone who has heard about it, I mean, from colleagues or from education or anywhere, somebody mentioned to you before At Risk or, you know, or Palisade or anything about this tool? Okay, right. So
okay.
Somebody said I have heard of it, because of the bots. Of course, you know this person has heard of it before.
Yes, of course. I know. Well, this is a good opportunity, and I mean, thanks for your interest. I mean, everyone, we have now almost 40 people on this call, you know, and many of these people, most likely that they haven't, you know, used or they haven't heard about At Risk. So this is a good opportunity to introduce you to this. And as I said to you, what we're trying to do today in this presentation or in this webinar is just to bring to your attention this powerful tool, and it will take some time for you to try to apply it and to find out where does it fit into your workload. And this tool has been tried and used, especially by engineers and quantity surveyors and by cost estimators all around the world. And what we can offer you is the know-how to go with it. So we will offer, as I said, the training, the introduction, to make sure that when you decide to use this software, we will make sure that you will have a justified decision, and this decision will come with knowledge. How do I benefit from it? Where do I add value? How can I make my value quantitative? Is it by, you know, mitigating my risk? I'm saving my company or my business millions of dollars. Is it by, you know, looking at some other opportunities that might open my eyes to some other things that were lacking in my business, like training or investment or good relations with suppliers or things like that always needed to be discussed, and decisions, you know, our business is a non-stop decision-making process. Right, okay. But what makes our decisions, you know, more powerful is the justification of these decisions. Yeah, Manuel, do you have any?
Yeah, can you see the screen now?
No.
The spreadsheet.
Are you pressing present now? Are you?
Yes, I'm pressing, but there is an issue with I think it's it's the platform, it's the software that it's giving me a lot of issues. Mohammed, I'm very sorry. I don't know. It's the first time that I presented with Google Teams. Let me see if I can fix it in the next minute or so, because I kind of managed to do it with the previous application, but I cannot. I'm unable to export the spreadsheet.
Okay. Well, we'll take your time and keep trying. I'm sure it will be there somewhere, you know.
Yes,
and,
yes,
and
yes.
we'll get into that.
But you cannot see my screen.
We only can see you at the moment, you know. So it's just
Okay.
like, well, normally, I don't know if there are other functions. I'll leave it with you.
There is a chat. There is a chat in the chat section again.
Yeah. Okay. Trial version, yes, it was about 10 years ago. Too technical for me then. Well, again, as I said, you know, the software itself, it is actually too technical. There's lots of functions and lots of features on it. And that's why what we try to advise anyone who's willing or planning to use the software is that give us the chance to give you some training with it, because what we want to make it is more relevant to you, and not to look at it as this is something that could be complicating your workflow or making, you know, your life much harder. It's actually the other way around. It is a tool that makes your life much easier if you make it more relevant to your work. And with the training we have, you know, it's a customized level of training that we normally look into your own data and try to find out what are your objectives, what are you trying to achieve from this, and then we customize our training to help you with that, to connect the software straight away to your, you know, to your objectives and to your workload. The other thing is what we're doing is what Manuel just mentioned, is the consulting. You know, we come across lots of organizations, and either they are in their very early stage of creating, you know, an enterprise risk management department. So there are lots of businesses who, for many years, you know, risk management was just part of their, you know, of their other departments, and wasn't really given the significant importance, and wasn't looked at you know, as it should be. So we help these people. We give them lots of tools. We give them lots of insights into how to build up a team to look after your enterprise risk management with you know, with creating, you know, risk registers, analyzing these risk registers, make sure that you cover all the risk elements on these risk registers, and go and so on and so forth. The other thing is also we do lots of consulting with projects, with clients, is when they have a very key project with hundreds of millions invested in it, and they create their own models to go with it, but they just need an expert to have a look at these models and give them an advice on them. This is also another element of services that Palisade has got lots of consultants, the likes of Manuel, and we do have also consultants all over the world who can look deeper into your own existing models and try to analyze them with fresh eyes, and to make sure that, you know, these models are giving you the benefits or the objectives that you are aiming for. So this is the diversity where we work. We have the software, we have a family of software tools. You can find more details about them on our website. The key one is At Risk. And now as a company, we have moved in the most convenient way of delivering our businesses, which is a subscription. So with a subscription, we have an option of 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years of subscription. And that gives people the flexibility to go and subscribe for 1 year, try the software, work with it. And if you are happy and you want to keep it, then you can buy, you know, an extension for 2 or 3 or more years in the future. You know, and this has become a very helpful and a very kind of like flexible tool, especially at the time where we are now, where lots of companies are squeezing their budgets and people, you know, going through, you know, lots of uncertainty in business. So the subscription model is working, you know, perfectly well with these people to help them to move on. Hopefully we will get some spreadsheets on the screen in a minute.
I'm afraid I can't get it to work. I'm very sorry, but there seems to be an issue with the computer.
Okay.
Monte, before
Yes.
you continue, can I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
Like, yes, like most risk register, at the end of the day, you have a single figure, which is what we call the risk allowance. Okay. After considering all the risk factors, then you make allowances for, you calculate all the risk. At the end of the risk register, you have a figure, and this figure is added to your estimates as risk allowance. Then you can give advice, the cost estimate to your clients. So when when Manuel was explaining, he talks about the probabilistic approach. So what I'm asking, are you now going to give a set of figures? So this is the upper range, or this is the medium range, and this is the lower range to your client. So how do you bring the client inside? Because most businesses, they just want to give us an estimate. How much will this thing cost? So how do you handle this?
Okay. The way you go about this is by there are several ways in which you can estimate probabilistic parameters. What you do, you can infer the probabilistic parameters from data, for example. If you want to measure the cost of a cost element with a distribution of probability, and you have existing data, it could be industry data or it could be past project data, you can infer a distribution of probability from this data set in order to use it in your model. So this is the best way to define a distribution in a probabilistic model, using existing data in the organization in order to infer a distribution of probability for your model. The second method to define a distribution of probability is what it's called the expert interview. And this is the most popular, I think, with organizations like ACE. The way it works is that, for example, for a specific cost element, you ask an expert to give you the best estimation for the lowest possible cost, for the most likely cost, and for the maximum cost. And then you need to adjust this cost slightly by defining percentage. For example, the very minimum cost could be like an extreme value, as well as the maximum cost for that cost element. So you could use percentiles. For example, the 5th percentile of a cost element, the 50th percentile of the cost element, and the 95th percentile of the cost element. That allows you to build a distribution that is reliable in 90% of cases, but it gives kind of room for the bottom minimum, the cases with a value lower than the 5th percentile, and cases values for the 90th percentile. So this allows you to home in the most likely cost, and you will capture actually with this kind of method 90 or 95% of the estimated cost of the cost element. The third method of determining a distribution of probability for a cost estimation model will be using case studies. And I mean, if you cannot access data or expert opinion, you can research and find industry data. For example, in project management, and I'm just giving you an example. In project management, pair distributions are the most popular when measuring duration of tasks, right? For example, ACE likes to recommend the use of triangular and double triangular distributions for a specific costs under certain conditions or circumstances. These are the three sanction methods to infer a distribution probability for a cost element, which more often than not will only have the most likely value or an average value or an approximate mean value. What we want to do is to go beyond and furnish more information that makes our cost estimation more reliable when we take into account all the cost elements in the cost estimation. I know it's a long-winded answer, but does it answer your question? Hello?
Somehow, yes. But what I want to say is that, like, now since the NRM2, NRM1, NRM2, that the new rules of measurement 1 up to 3, now we have been using this risk allowance, and what I have taught on this before previously about risk register, and
Yes.
we said if the organization have any record of that specific project,
Yes.
And from the lesson learned, you can, you can picturize what kind of risk is expected, given a similar project, and based on that, when the risk was encountered, what were the measures provided? So this kind of risk are the one that you measure. In addition, then you can begin to measure other risks. After you measure this thing, at the end of the day, you see how to quantify them and put a value to them. So at the end of the risk register, you have a figure, which is now a cumulatively risk allowance. Say, for instance, I want to build a warehouse in the new industrial zone. So what do I do? The actual warehouse, because the area is a landfill area and so many issues, so many risks to be considered. Okay, I have estimated it to be 50 million. Then on calculating of this risk and what have you, I have a figure, maybe 70 million. So I'm telling the client the budget for this project is 67 million, for instance. So now, what I'm saying now is that this is my approach. Now, with probabilistic approach, what you are saying, to give, is it possible for me to now say, okay, look, you can have this figure at 10 million, you can, at 52 million, you can have this figure at 55 million or 60 million, and you can have another one, the estimate at 67 million. This is what I'm saying. That
Right.
how do you do presentation using probabilistic approach?
Sorry, guys. Manuel,
Yes.
I presume you are on 2 different systems. Your presentation is on her. Please log out and log in back on the presentation system.
Yeah, because it's having 2 systems.
Yes, let's see if that works.
Okay.
Yes, in answering that question, I would rather think if you have the risk register and you have given the values, the minimum values and the maximum values, your risk allowance should always be the maximum. Then you
not necessarily. When we talk about risk registers, we use 2 parameters. I mean, we've been talking until now about cost estimations. Cost estimations have a single distribution of probability per cost element, which is the an assessment of the range and probability for each cost value. Risk registers, which are also very popular and a very widespread application of Monte Carlo simulation and at risk, they use 2 distributions of probability. The first distribution is to calculate the probability of the event happening. And the second distribution is to calculate the probabilistic impact. Let me give you an example. If we want to consider the risks that may affect a project, a construction project, we can start building a risk register, which we can use our qualitative risk registers, and then we list and categorize every single risk element that we can identify that may affect our project.
Yes.
For each risk element, then we need to infer a probability of occurrence. Now, I believe what the gentleman was asking previously is how easy is to define these kind of probabilities for risks that we may or may not know. The reason is very simple. You have industry data and organizational data that will help you defining occurrence distributions or probability distribution for the occurrence for each element in the risk register, right? So you can estimate if a risk has 30% probability of happening, 20%, 1%, 6%, and so on. That the experience of your colleagues or your organization should be able to point you in the right direction as to whether these risks are likely to happen during the life of the project, right? Remember that there are risks that can happen only once, that there are risks that can happen more than once during the life of a project, and that there are risks whose severity, when they happen, have such a big impact on the project that they completely bring it down in terms of economic viability. The second distribution that we use for a risk register is the impact, because once a risk happens, for example, a fire in a factory or a storage depot or whatever, it can have a minimum impact or a small impact, an average impact calculated on the impact scale, or a massive impact. And there is a probability attached to each one of these impacts. So the goal of the risk register using Monte Carlo simulation is to run, in this case, probably many tens of thousands of iterations of the interaction of these risks and see the impact in real terms on the total cost of the project risks. Project risk registers are slightly more complicated than cost estimation models, but not too much. The only thing is that we need to make allowance for two distributions instead of one. But that's how it works. And they are very, very useful because nowadays everyone is talking about qualitative risk registers. Qualitative risk registers are totally useless unless we can quantify the probability of occurrence and the impact of each risk element that intervenes on the risk register.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, I do have a suggestion, just for the sake of saving time and make sure that you get the maximum benefit from this approach. Look, it seems that we can't show the Excel file today. I'm suggesting an hour next Friday. Try to book the same thing, and this time we will use Microsoft Teams because we have done so many demos on Microsoft Teams, and for sure it works for us. This hour will be divided into only to show you that we're not going to go through the same presentation. It's just straight into practical Excel sheet examples. The first half an hour will be for cost estimation, and the second half an hour will be for a risk register.
Correct.
So we will show you how it works with Monte Carlo simulation, break down into all the probabilities as Manuel was talking about. I'm really sorry for everyone who's on the call, everyone who's hearing me, that it seems for technical reasons we can't show the spreadsheets today, but I'm very happy to welcome anyone back to a call next Friday. Same time, 11 o'clock London time. I think it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Doha. If you want to change the time as well, we are flexible on that. We can have it an hour earlier or an hour later. It's up to you guys, you know. But I think this is the best way to move forward, and this is the best way to show you the benefit of having a practical experience with the spreadsheet.
Yeah, just let me say very briefly, Mohanad, that I can plan that as a masterclass of cost estimation and risk register with a practical example, so the users can learn how to build these kind of models, and it will take for about an hour.
Yeah, sure. It will be straight to the point. No, introduction presentations or anything. From the first 5 minutes, you will see the spreadsheets, the data is there. And in the meanwhile, from here till next week, Friday, if any of you gentlemen have a specific requirement or a question about the software, which could be displayed over on a spreadsheet or something like that, please do feel free to send it over to me, and we will prepare it for you and maybe add another 10 or 15 minutes for you to ask questions. Okay, so this is my suggestion. I will be maybe I'll ask Manuel to create this from his end, the Microsoft Teams invitation. We will send it to you, Nuruddin, Tai, whoever is communicating with us, and please feel free to share it with everyone who's attending. And it's optional, guys. Whoever wants to come back again on next week on Friday to have a look at the spreadsheets, they are very welcome.
I think that is okay.
Yeah, you okay with that, Manuel? Is that
yes,
fine?
yes, I'm absolutely fine, and I'm really upset about this.
Well, I'm not upset actually. I'm happy that I'll get another chance to meet these lovely gentlemen.
Yeah,
so
don't
be upset.
I was expecting to show you.
Risk.
I was hoping that that we can fly to Doha and meet you in person next week. But
that would
anyway,
be ideal. That would be ideal, but I'm sorry that this hasn't worked. I know what it may be. I think I have an idea, but I mean that I need to reinstall some software.
Let's just put this behind us, and I'm happy to extend this invitation to everyone. Next week we will try. I will send an initial invitation for the same time, 11 o'clock UK time. I think it's 1 o'clock in Doha. And in the meanwhile, if you want to change the timing or anything, let us know, and we will work on it. And I'm sure Emmanuel will prepare this spreadsheet for you.
Okay, I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
It goes like this. Most of us are already used to Zoom. What about presentation on Zoom? Are you used to it too?
Perfect.
I'm happy with Zoom.
Okay, I think it's better for you for Zoom.
Perfect. Okay, we will initiate it on Zoom then, and you will receive the invitation through Manuel this afternoon. Okay. Are we all good? Guys, thank you very, very much for your time. I wonder if you have any questions or comments before we go. I've left my email address with you on the chat. If you can see, there's a message from me with my email address. Do feel free to come straight forward to me if you have any requests or questions, and I'll be more than happy to meet you again next Friday.
There are still 2 questions to be attended to. One is this software interface compatible with BIM? BIM.
With what? Sorry.
BIM.
BIM. BIM.
Building information modeling.
Let me explain. The software is based in Excel. So anything that you can import into Excel, it's compatible with that risk.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? I mean, I got yesterday a similar question. Is the software compatible with SAP? Yes. If you can import a data set into Microsoft Excel, then you can work with the data in at risk.
So if I can export because I can export now from Excel to BIM.
Yes.
Okay. So that means it's compatible.
Yes.
Okay. So fine. There's another question. What advantage does at-risk have above risk management functions built into MS projects or Primavera?
The main, Primavera is risk management add-on for a scheduling tool, right?
Okay.
The benefit of at-risk obviously is that it's a tool that it's built seamlessly in Excel. So it's fully compatible with Excel, and it allows to build prototypes of probabilistic models very quickly in Excel. So you don't need to use another software like Primavera, and you don't need to learn any other software. I mean, the only thing you need to learn is to use the different functions of at risk to use in your Excel model. So it's an Excel-based software. I guess this is the main advantage.
So the advantage is that it is not a standalone software. It is just
Correct.
an add-on to Excel.
Correct. Correct.
It's an add-on to Excel.
Correct. And that's why the learning of this software is not going to be that complex, because if you know how to use Excel, it's just you just add new functions to it. That's all. You know, so it's the most convenient. It saves lots of time, as I said, you know, time and efforts, you know. And when we say we offer training for 1 or 2 days, you know, with any sales of the software, normally this is not going to be teaching people how to use Excel, because they have 99% of this knowledge already. It's all about how to make the software more relevant to the workload and to the data that they have, and that's why it's straightforward and it saves lots of time and money. Right. Any other comments, gentlemen? Any other questions? Well, in this case, if Manuel, if you don't have anything more to add, I would like to thank you all and look forward to meeting you again next Friday, whoever is wishing to come and have a look at the Excel sheets and how we're going to do it. Again, on behalf of Manuel and myself, I'm really sorry for this glitch of technology today, but hey guys, we do with risk analysis and risk management, and guess what? Risk does happen sometimes, you know. So we do run into some trouble sometimes, and
we've got this game.
Yeah, exactly. So we practice what we say, you know, don't we? So thanks for your time. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your understanding. Manuel, thanks for your help today, and thanks for the presentation. And I look forward to seeing you all again on Friday next week.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope as many people as possible will be here with us next Friday.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thanks for your understanding.
Thank you very much. I promise it would be. I promise it will be a very interesting class.
We look forward to it. We look forward to it. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.